A chilling touch, karma is real. This first story involves a cat. Yes, I suddenly remembered one of the pets my mother took in. The story goes like this. Back in 2017, when I was 12 years old, dogs and cats had always been fixtures in our home. My parents loved animals and showed compassion to nearly every creature, instilling the same values in me. I developed mercy toward almost every animal and never harmed any of them, not even venomous ones. I never struck them, believing they could feel pain just as we would if someone hit us. They were living beings with feelings, pain, suffering, just like us. That's how I saw it. About our cat, we had 2 cats at home, Sawat and Nuan, and 1 dog named Nang Queen. These 3 were quite old. One day my mother went to the market during a heavy downpour. As she was crossing a drainage canal, she spotted a kitten being carried by the current. She reached down and rescued it, bringing it home without even completing her shopping. Both my mother and the kitten were soaking wet when they arrived. She dried the kitten with warm towels and cleaned it thoroughly. When I could finally see its coloring, I discovered it was a mixed-color Thai female cat, yellow, black, and white, all on one body. I called her Ragged Cloth because her colors were so jumbled and messy. But she grew attached to me. She would sleep nestled against my arm, and her personality was affectionate and clingy. When I had a fever, she would rest her head on my forehead and never leave my side. Despite her unappealing appearance, I came to love her deeply, and she loved me back. Whether I was going to school or returning home, she'd accompany me, always running to greet me when I returned. This became our daily routine. Eventually, she matured and had 3 kittens of her own. Her offspring were beautiful. 1 golden yellow, 1 black and white, and 1 pure black. Unlike their mother, they were all stunning. When she was about to give birth, she insisted on delivering next to my arm. I didn't know how to help, so I just stroked her head until all 3 kittens were born. Then I called my mother, telling her, "The ragged one has given birth to 3 kittens next to me." My mother brought a box, and the cat willingly moved into it to care for her babies and eat the rice my mother had prepared for her. After nursing her kitten, she would return to sleep beside me as usual. Then, when her kittens were about 3 months old and strong enough to run playfully around the house, life settled into a new routine. I played with them daily, and the mother cat still slept beside me, though now accompanied by her 3 kittens. So I ended up sleeping with 4 cats, which was fine by me since they kept me company. I slept alone in my mosquito net, while my younger brother slept in another net with our 2 older cats, Sawat and Nuan. Our dog Queen preferred to sleep alone. She was quite independent but had the endearing quality of loving all the cats in our house, even allowing the kittens to play around her and sometimes sleep cuddled against her belly. My brother and I slept about 5 meters apart, and our mother would turn off all the lights when we went to bed, which I hated because I was afraid of ghosts. I'd always had this fear, but it disappeared completely when my ragged cat and her kittens slept with me. My brother, on the other hand, feared nothing. I've mentioned before that he had the second sight, the ability to see things others couldn't see. One day, our cat caught and killed a large dried fish from somewhere despite having plenty of food at home. She did this twice. Then on the 3rd day, I prepared food for all our pets but couldn't find her. I called out for her around the house, but she didn't appear. When my mother returned from work, I told her the cat had disappeared, that I'd been looking since 5 in the afternoon and now it was 8 in the evening, but she still hadn't returned. Maybe she's found a mate. My mother suggested she'll probably come back. Then she went to shower. But I had an uneasy feeling. Heart palpitations, anxiety, almost like I wanted to cry without knowing why. By 9 o'clock, I went to bed with the cat's 3 kittens and fell asleep. I woke up sometime later, sat up and heard the cat meowing. It was definitely my ragged cat's voice. Why wasn't she coming up to me? "Ragged cat," I called out. "I'm in bed now, come up here quickly, where have you been, are you hungry?" She continued to meow plaintively but wouldn't come up. Her cries sounded eerily hollow while her kittens huddled together on the bed, trembling and making soft growling sounds instead of running to their mother as they normally would. I couldn't understand what was wrong with them. They seemed afraid of something. I opened the mosquito net and went to look for my cat, delighted that she'd returned. I called to my brother for company. Come with me to see the ragged cat. She's crying at the foot of the stairs but won't come up." I called him several times but he didn't wake up. Concerned and missing my cat, I decided to go alone. I grabbed a flashlight and shined it toward the sound. There she was, sitting with her head bowed at the foot of the stairs, refusing to come up. Normally, she would have followed me upstairs to sleep together every night. I shined the light on her, but she kept her head down. When I called her again, she finally looked up. My heart dropped. Her eyes were red. Normally, when a cat's eyes reflect light, they shine with a soft greenish glow. But hers were red, frightfully, terrifyingly red. I shouted for my mother, "Mom! Mom, come look at the ragged cat quickly." "What is it, child?" she called back, her voice ringing through the house. "The ragged cat is at the foot of the stairs. I called her to come up, but she won't. She raised her head to look at me and her eyes are terrifyingly red, Mom. I'm scared." "Where exactly is she?" my mother asked, looking down but seeing nothing. "Down there at the foot of the stairs, Mom." Mother looked but saw nothing, so she said, "I think you miss your cat so much that you're dreaming and imagining things, dear." "I'm not dreaming or imagining, Mom. I really saw the ragged cat." "Let's do this. Go to sleep now, and tomorrow I have a day off. I'll help you search for her, all right?" "Yes, Mom." I felt hurt that my mother thought I was dreaming or hallucinating, but I insisted that what I saw was real. The next morning, my mother woke before me and genuinely searched for the cat. She walked all around our house and several houses away, asking neighbors if they'd seen the cat. When she returned, she woke me. I jumped up thinking she must have news about my cat. "Tony, wake up quickly," she called. "I have something to tell you, hurry." Hearing her voice, I bolted out of bed and ran downstairs to meet her, assuming she'd found my cat. "I have news about the ragged cat, son," she said. "What news? Where is she, Mom?" "Someone saw a person carrying her away in a car yesterday." "What? Why would they take her? She's not even pretty." "And who told you someone took her away?" "That can't possibly be true." "The meatball vendor who lives 5 houses down from us saw it happen." That night I went to bed at the usual time with the 3 kittens following me. But C. Sawat and C. Nuan didn't join me. They normally slept in my brother's mosquito net, only showing affection when I fed them. I sat crying alone in my net because I loved the ragged cat like a sister. Whenever my mother scolded me or I was sick, the cat would rest her head on me, which I interpreted as comforting and encouraging. I huddled with her 3 growing kittens who were also attached to me. I couldn't sleep. After tossing and turning, I tried talking to my brother. Mom told me the meatball vendor said someone took our ragged cat away in a car. I don't think that's possible. I miss her so much. Today's the 4th day. I wonder if she's all right. Who would want to take such a motley colored cat? I guess I should think she's lucky if someone's taking care of her. After saying this, my brother just went to sleep without responding. I have to say I couldn't sleep at all. My mind was gloomy, mournful. The feeling is indescribable. I could think only of my cat. At midnight, when the clock in our mother's room chimed loudly, I heard the cat meowing again. That same hollow, mournful cry from the night before. This time I couldn't bear it. I had to find her. I called my brother once, and this time he woke up and followed me downstairs. I shined my flashlight toward the sound of the meowing cat and was even more shocked than before. What my brother and I saw was our ragged cat sitting at the base of a rose apple tree with frighteningly red eyes and a deep wound on her neck, bleeding profusely. I started to approach her, intending to bring her inside to treat her wounds, but before I could take a step, my brother shouted firmly, "Tony, stop. Don't go near the ragged cat or you'll join her. Believe me, let's go back upstairs and I'll tell you everything." Mom told me all about the ragged cat. I froze in my tracks, not taking another step. When I turned to look at my brother, then back again, the ragged cat had vanished. I hurried back upstairs with my brother. Once inside, I immediately questioned him. "Didn't you say you have something to tell me? Mom told you something about the ragged cat that she didn't tell me." "The story about someone seeing her taken away isn't true. No one took the ragged cat. She's dead, Tony." "What? How did she die and where's her body?" "Mom and I have already buried her. That's why Mom called you yesterday morning and told you the story about the ragged cat." I sat in stunned silence, tears welling up uncontrollably. It was a crushing feeling, like losing something precious, though at least I still had her 3 kittens as mementos. "How did the ragged cat die?" I finally asked. Her neck had a severe wound, like it had been slashed by something sharp. "We think it was someone who kept dried fish. We don't know which house, but I'm going to find out." "Do you understand now why they would do something so cruel?" I cried myself to sleep that night, nestled among the 3 kittens. The next morning I woke up and went to school as usual. On my way home that afternoon, I passed a house where I noticed a heavily pregnant woman arranging something in a bamboo tray. She appeared to be turning over something, so I paused to watch what she was doing. I saw she was turning over fish that were drying in the sun. I thought to myself, this must be where my ragged cat came to take fish, and whoever harmed her until she died must be from this house. But could it be this pregnant woman? Her face didn't show any signs of cruelty. In fact, she turned and smiled at me with what seemed like kindness. I stared at her blankly, wondering if she could be the one who harmed my cat. Because I didn't return her smile, she turned away and went back into her house. As I stood thinking, 3 crows flew down and began pecking at the drying fish. Suddenly, I heard the sound of an air gun. Looking up toward the source of the noise, I saw a man holding an air rifle. 1 crow was shot in the wing, not fatally but enough that it couldn't fly away. The other 2 escaped. I stood watching, feeling immense pity for the injured crow. My heart pounded, and instinctively I knew, this man must be the one who shot my ragged cat. She wasn't slashed with a blade at all. Just then I heard the pregnant woman shouting, "Don't shoot them, husband. If they want to eat, let them eat." The man shouted back, "I hate creatures that steal my food. The other day a ragged black cat came and stole my fish. I shot at it once and it ran away. But it came back the next day and I think I hit it that time. I haven't seen it since, so it probably died. Good riddance, thieving thing. Animals will leave if you just chase them away," the pregnant woman argued. "You don't need to hurt them like this. You could move the drying rack too. This is sinful, husband. I'm heavily pregnant, remember. Karma is real." I heard everything and was now certain this man had killed my ragged cat. Even the poor crow suffered at his hands, writhing in pain but not yet dead. The man grabbed a stick to finish it off, but his pregnant wife tried to stop him. He pushed her so hard she fell to the ground. When he turned back to the crow and beat it to death, he noticed his wife was bleeding and rushed her to the hospital. I stood witnessing it all, then went home to tell my mother I knew who had harmed my cat. The next day my mother went shopping and returned with news from the meatball vendor. "Do you know that pregnant woman who lives next to my shop? She's had her baby, a little girl. But..." She paused. "But what?" my mother asked. "The child is beautiful, but she has a long scar on her neck that makes her head tilt to one side and her left arm is smaller than the right. I feel so sorry for both mother and child. The mother is such a good person too. Even heavily pregnant, she would wake early to make offerings to monks. When dogs or cats passed by, she'd give them food. Why would such a good person have to suffer this karma? Oh, Buddha." My mother didn't comment or offer any opinion. She finished her shopping and hurried home to tell me. Karma and merit are real. They operate with precision and consistency. Even though the pregnant woman didn't commit any sin, her husband did, and the karma affected their child, what we call inherited karma. This will cause him to suffer mentally forever. Remember, child, always do good. Don't harm or oppress any living being in this world. They all cherish their lives. Sometimes karma doesn't reach the sinner immediately but affects those the sinner loves most, which is more tormenting than if they received the punishment themselves. I remembered my mother's teaching and have followed her example in all things. That night was a Friday. The next day I didn't have school, so my brother and I stayed up late. Since our black and white television only had 4 channels, Channel 4, Channel 7, Channel 5, and Channel 3 in color, though our house couldn't receive the color signal, and programming ended at midnight anyway, we quickly grew bored with the uninteresting old shows. By midnight we felt drowsy and decided to go to bed. The 3 kittens had already gone up to wait in the mosquito net. My brother and I washed our faces, patted on white powder, and were about to climb the stairs when we heard that familiar sound that made me stop dead in my tracks. It was a hollow, mournful, spine-chilling cry, the voice of the ragged cat. We brothers turned to look simultaneously and saw our ragged cat sitting at the base of the rose apple tree where my brother said they had buried her. The image we saw was of the ragged cat gazing at us, her eyes red but filled with sadness. Her eyes seemed to convey a message. She was leaving now and entrusting her kittens to us. Seeing this, tears welled up in my eyes. I clutched my brother's arm and said, "Ragged cat, don't worry about anything. I'll take the best care of your babies. Go now, be at peace. Don't worry or fret about anything. We'll surely meet again." Before I could finish speaking, the image of the ragged cat faded into the darkness. I had never seen a human ghost, but I had now seen a cat ghost. I don't think it was because I have second sight. Rather, it seemed to be our bond, a genuine spiritual connection. To this day, I've never forgotten my beloved multicolored ragged cat. This was the story of the ragged cloth cat I loved and bonded with so deeply. Even now, I've never forgotten her, though I've never kept another cat since. Cats tend to wander far and wide, and I feared history might repeat itself. Now I only have a little dog, 14 years old, quite elderly. Her name is Nikki. She's still strong, though her teeth are starting to fall out due to age. Most importantly, she never wanders off to explore. She's very attached to me, well-behaved, small in size, incredibly cute, understands everything I say and doesn't bark. I intend to care for her until the end of her days. This story occurred when I was 14 in 7th grade. I was starting to become a young man, my voice beginning to break. When I think back to that time, I can still remember the sound of my own voice. Everyone goes through changes from childhood to adolescence. The body transforms completely. I didn't understand much about these changes and would ask only my mother, with whom I was closest. I wouldn't talk to my father, it just didn't feel comfortable. My mother was like a friend I could tell anything to without embarrassment. She would explain things until I understood and served as my advisor on almost everything. Family is the first small society in life, but it's the most important. Issues should be discussed openly with understanding. Whether it's with your father or mother, whoever you feel comfortable with, it will bring great happiness and reduce many potential social problems. My family consisted of 4 people: father, mother, myself, and my younger brother. We lived modestly, not struggling but not wealthy either. My mother taught us to be economical but not stingy. My father worked for a state enterprise while my mother had resigned from her accounting position at a government pawn shop to take care of my brother and me, as we were at a critical juncture in our lives. She didn't want her children to develop problems during this crucial time when we were transitioning from boyhood to manhood. Everyone knows how important this period is, with many social factors that can easily lead young people astray. Our family always went places together, but there was one time during a school break when my mother said she would take us to visit Grandma. Actually, all our biological grandparents had passed away. But there was Grandpa Chem and Grandma Nguang, whom I've mentioned in episode 660. And this was another grandmother my parents respected. This grandmother was a widow who had been alone for many decades. She lived in Smiy district in Chantaburi province. The following story is true. I was there. But the terrifying incident happened to my father, who later related it to me. Here's what happened. When school break arrived, my mother discussed with my father her plan to take us to visit Grandma in Chantaburi for 2 or 3 days during the break. We would visit fruit orchards during durian, rambutan, and mangosteen season, and natural streams with clear water. My father wrote a leave request specifically for this purpose, which was approved. However, 2 days before our departure date, my father's head office announced that the highest-ranking executive would be inspecting my father's workplace. Truthfully, once a leave request is approved, one can simply go. But my father was the head of his department and needed to report on operations, address any issues, and oversee the welfare of his 12 subordinates. So he had to stay behind for this inspection visit. My mother said it would be fine. She would take us first by riding the old orange public bus that had Bangkok Chantaburi written on its side. Some newer buses had updated it to Chantaburi. The bus we boarded was an older model in poor condition, without air conditioning, windows that rolled down, and strong winds. People used to call them sweet, cool buses. My father would drive our family pickup truck, also old, and follow us the next day. The three of us, mother and sons, woke early to catch the bus to Chantaburi. The journey took over 4 hours and we had to transfer to a Songtiu, local pickup truck taxi, to reach Smiy district. We weren't tired because we were excited about visiting the fruit orchards during the season of durian, rambutan, and mangosteen, prime fruit season where we could eat directly from the orchard. When we arrived at Grandma's house, she was overjoyed. Her children were close with ours as well. I'll use pseudonyms for everyone in this story. Grandma's name was Siang. She had a daughter older than my mother whom I called Aunt Soy. Aunt Soy's husband was Uncle Yoon, and they had 3 children, 2 boys and 1 girl, around the same age as my brother and me. We had been close since childhood, though we hadn't seen each other for 6 years. By now we were all becoming teenagers, our manners more mature, but our closeness remained unchanged. The crux of this story involves Uncle Yoon, Aunt Soy's husband. I'll tell it to you gradually. We arrived around 4 p.m. as evening was approaching. The journey in was along dirt roads the entire way without concrete pathways. Chantaburi province typically has high humidity with overcast skies that threaten rain, even in the hot season. Though not as heavy as during the rainy season, light showers would fall every 5 or 6 days, keeping the atmosphere moist and cool without much sunshine. On the day we arrived, Grandma prepared simple food for us since she hadn't known we were coming. It had been many years since our last visit. Grandma Siang had aged according to her years. She was 78 at the time. We met everyone except Uncle Yoon. Grandma explained that Uncle Yoon was at the temple preparing for a ceremony. I then learned that besides being primarily a fruit orchard farmer and rubber plantation owner, Uncle Yoon was also a well-known spirit medium in that district. After we finished eating, we sat chatting with Grandma before bed. She said she would take us to visit her fruit orchard the next day, which Uncle Yoon's family maintained. Uncle Yoon had built what locals called a kanam, a small hut in the middle of the orchard where he slept alone to guard their produce. Strangely, no one dared to steal fruit from their orchard, though I didn't understand why at the time. Early the next morning around 4 a.m., Aunt Soy and her children woke to tap rubber trees before dawn. My mother, brother, and I continued sleeping, tired from our journey. But we had to wake up because we heard sounds, ayad, 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 along with some strange odor. The sound came from a rubber sheet pressing machine that used human power to turn and flatten the rubber for drying in the wind before selling. The strange smell was from the mild acid added to the latex to make it coagulate, giving off a strong odor. Those unfamiliar with the smell might call it stench. We woke around 7 a.m. The air around the house was refreshing except for the rubber processing smell that was unfamiliar to us. I stood watching our cousins work efficiently. This was their regular profession. I might have enjoyed helping turn the rubber pressing machine, but I probably wasn't strong enough. They were remarkably strong. After they finished, we all ate breakfast together. I didn't eat much, anticipating the fruit feast awaiting us in the orchard. After eating, we headed to Grandma Siang's fruit orchard, which Aunt Soy and Uncle Yoon maintained and harvested for Grandma. The orchard was about 4 kilometers from Grandma's house. We walked leisurely, as the path descended gradually without tiring us or making us hot. The entire route was shaded by large trees. Finally, we reached the fruit orchard, though not immediately. We had to walk another 500 meters to a bamboo bridge that couldn't support the weight of a car, cross a stream about 5 meters wide, and then we reached the actual orchard. My brother and I were excited to be in a fruit orchard, seeing rambutans and durians heavily laden with fruit everywhere, rambutans red across the entire tree. When we reached the Kanam hut, my brother and I stopped abruptly, startled. Looking at the hut Uncle Yoon had built, its basic structure resembled typical shelters, but the material used for the walls was strange yet somehow familiar. Upon closer inspection, we realized what it was. I whispered to my brother, "Hey, look carefully at what the hut walls are made from." "They're coffin planks, brother," he replied. Uncle used coffin planks for the hut walls, and there are spirits with them too. Yes, I thought so. They really are coffin planks, I said. Wait, you can see spirits again. The walls were indeed made entirely from coffin planks. The left and right sides and the back were all coffin wood. I had felt uneasy from the moment I saw those hut walls. My brother, with his ability to see into other dimensions, confirmed it, making me think deeply. I turned to Aunt Soy to confirm my suspicions. "Auntie, what is the material used for this hut's walls?" "I've told my husband already to use bamboo or cut wood from the forest, but he insisted on using coffin planks for the walls," she replied. "I've told him until my mouth might split to my ears, but he won't listen. I refuse to sleep here to guard the orchard. He sleeps here alone. None of our children dare stay with him either." "Isn't Uncle afraid, Auntie?" I asked. "Sleeping alone with no company in this remote, quiet place. It feels eerie even in daylight. What must it be like at night?" "My husband has been a spirit medium for many years," she answered. "He's not afraid of these things, and no one dares steal fruit from this orchard even in broad daylight." "Maybe they're scared by the appearance of the hut, Auntie," I suggested. "Anyone who sees it would surely feel horrified." "Horrified or not, people have been attacked here before, and they weren't even stealing fruit. Just coming to call my husband to perform funeral rites at a temple." "In broad daylight, Auntie?" I asked, shocked. "Last year, Tidcom, our neighbor whose orchard adjoins ours, had his mother die at Propoklau Hospital in town. They brought her body to our village temple. That day, another of my husband's spirit medium friends was away performing rites in another province, so there was no one to conduct the ceremony. Tidcom came looking for my husband at our house but couldn't find him, so he came down to this hut. It was around 4 p.m. He climbed up to the hut calling loudly, Uncle Yoon, are you there?" And a voice answered, "Yes." Tidcom looked around the entire hut but couldn't see anyone, only heard a voice. So Tidcom said, "Where are you hiding? I need to invite you to the temple to perform rites for my mother." While speaking, Tidcom stood with his back against the central post of the hut, a solid wooden pillar painted black but not particularly large. Then a voice said, "I'm here." When Tidcom turned to look, he saw a human head emerging from the post he was leaning against. He was so terrified his axe fell from his hand, embedding itself forcefully in the central post. Then he leaped from the hut, which stands nearly 2 meters high, and ran straight back to the temple. When he arrived, he found my husband already performing rites for his mother. He told my husband the whole story in detail, gasping for breath, drenched in sweat, looking pale as if he'd lost his mind. My husband later told me this story. If you don't believe it, look at the central post of the hut to see if there's a gash mark. That's the work of Tidcom. After that day, my husband returned the axe to Tidcom since he was too afraid to retrieve it himself. From that day on, he never came back here. I went to examine the central post of the hut and indeed saw a deep gash mark. I didn't climb up though. I could see it clearly from below. Knowing this history, you can imagine whether I'd ever have the courage to climb up to that hut. Have you ever experienced anything, Auntie? I asked. I've never set foot up in that hut, she replied. When I come to the orchard, I come with your cousins and always in the morning. By early afternoon, I'm already heading back. As for your uncle, he sometimes sleeps here for days before returning to the house. That's his business. I don't know what to say or do about it anymore. We're getting old now. I changed the subject and walked with Aunt Soy to pick rambutans and knock down mangosteen to eat. Meanwhile, she selected ripe durians. Some were already fully ripe. We gorged ourselves in the orchard. Later, Aunt Soy took me, my brother, and our cousins to play in the stream. The water was incredibly clear and clean, flowing from the Khao Soi Dao mountain. Around 2 p.m., Aunt called us to leave, and I understood her urgency. When we returned that evening, Uncle Yoon came home to Grandma Siang's house. He ate dinner, showered, and told us he'd been conducting funeral rites for a friend from another village who had brought the body to our village temple. The deceased's family is well off, he said. Tonight there's an outdoor movie screen set up after the monks finish the funeral chanting, around 5 a.m. There's traditional Lee K theater too, and many villagers selling food. You should all come. Our cousins invited us to join the festival, and of course I wouldn't refuse. Everyone went, leaving the house completely empty. There wasn't much of value to worry about anyway. We walked to the temple, which was about 1.5 kilometers beyond the fruit orchard. Grandma Siang walked steadily all the way. When we reached the temple, we saw food vendors with numerous stalls. The villagers and orchard workers around here rarely went to see movies because theaters were in town, and no one wanted to make the journey. So when outdoor movies came to them, everyone flocked to watch. We arrived at the temple around 8 p.m., walking and chatting along the way. Grandma Siang and Aunt Soy didn't like watching movies, so they went to see the Lee K performance instead. Only my mother, my brother, and Aunt Soy's children sat to watch the movie, which happened to be a ghost film. It perfectly matched the temple funeral atmosphere, a remarkable coincidence. While we were engrossed in the movie, I noticed a man standing awkwardly, seemingly looking for someone. His face looked familiar, like my father's. I got up to check if it was him. When I approached within about 5 meters, I confirmed it was definitely my father, so I ran to him. When did you arrive, Dad? How did you know we were at the temple? I've been here a while, son, he replied. I guessed. Where are your mother and brother? I'll go get them, I said. Wait here, Dad. Aunt Soy's children saw my father and ran to find Grandma Siang and Aunt Soy. Everyone wanted to return home because it was already 1 a.m., and we were all getting sleepy. When Grandma arrived, my father greeted her with a respectful "Why?" She immediately asked, "When did you arrive, Huan?" Huan was my father's nickname. Just now, he replied. I haven't eaten yet. I'll have Tony take me to find something here. And where's Yoon? He asked. He's at the funeral hall, she answered. He'll be down soon. We should all head home together. Before my father could continue, Aunt Soy interrupted. Let Huan get something to eat first. We can talk more at home, Mother." After my father ate, we all returned to the house. It was fortunate we didn't have to walk back. My father had driven our old pickup truck just in time. Uncle Yoon returned with us. At the house, Uncle Yoon showered and sat drinking with my father as they were both tired from their respective tasks. We all sat listening too, especially Grandma Seong and Aunt Soy, who hung on every word with unwavering attention. My mother simply sat listening without much reaction. Uncle Yoon asked, "When did you arrive, Uan? And how did you know we were all at the temple?" "I drove here around midnight," my father replied. "When I reached Grandma's house, all the lights were off. I thought everyone was asleep, so I called out. When I approached the front door, I saw it was padlocked. I figured you all must be at the fruit orchard hut downstairs, so I drove there. After parking, I crossed the bamboo bridge and saw the hut had no lights on. I thought everyone must be sleeping there, so I called out, 'Yoon, it's me, Uan. Light a lantern for me.' I heard a voice answer, 'Yes,' and a lantern was lit, as if someone had just ignited it, though I couldn't see who lit it. I climbed up to the hut hoping to find everyone, but there was no one else there. Just a single oil lantern burning. I wondered where everyone had gone and looked around, trying to figure out who had lit the lantern for me. I called out again and heard the same yes response. I turned toward the voice but saw nothing, just emptiness. I decided things weren't right and immediately climbed down from the hut. I was about to drive back to wait at the main house when I heard Lee K music drifting over. So I drove following the sound until I reached the temple where I guessed everyone must be. And that's how I found you." "Oh, Fi Yoon," my father continued, referring to the hut at the lower orchard. "What have you done to it? It's not the same one I saw last time we visited, is it?" "That's right," Uncle Yoon replied. "I built it about 4 years ago. There's something strange about that house, you know." "Yes, I used discarded coffin planks for the walls, and every plank has a resident spirit." "You intended for them to help guard the fruit orchard, didn't you?" "That's right. It works too. No one dares steal any fruit. My children all know it. They're all afraid. Sometimes I worry about harvest season when the fruit is abundant. I'd like them to help guard and watch over things, but it's too dangerous. My work schedule is unpredictable. People might call for my services as a spirit medium any time, so I rely on the coffin plank owners to guard in my place. But they're quite discriminating. Last time with Tidcom, even in broad daylight, they showed themselves emerging from the center post for him to see clearly. You experienced just a mild encounter. Normally they don't show themselves, only make their presence known. The following day, our family returned to our province as my father's vacation leave was complete. We bid farewell to Grandma Seong and her family before departing. Our car was fully loaded with various fruits as souvenirs. This entire story is true, happening to my father, which I've shared with you. It might not be extremely terrifying, but I hope you found it entertaining. All characters are real, though I've used pseudonyms throughout. From that day until the present, I've never had the chance to visit Grandma Seong and her family again, nor have I received any news about them. Nevertheless, I still remember Grandma Seong and her family fondly. A chilling touch, my mother's last journey. This story took place in 1994, 28 years ago, in Sriracha District, Chonburi Province. At that time, I was stationed in Chanthaburi Province, around 30 years old. This is my mother's story, as related to me by my brother who heard it directly from my mother's friend. In 1994, my mother passed away from colon cancer. I was serving as a Border Patrol police officer working jointly with Marine soldiers in local police at the Khao Lam checkpoint in Wang Sombun Sub-District, Klong Had District, Sa Kaeo Province. It was a joint checkpoint for 3 units. While playing takraw, a Southeast Asian sport similar to volleyball but played with the feet, a radio call came from my unit's base headquarters. Khao Lam from Solar Panel 2, come in. They called 5 times, but we didn't hear it as we were playing enthusiastically, making too much noise, and the 3 units were playing together after work as our daily exercise. A junior officer who heard the radio ran to receive the call, then rushed back to me. "Brother Tony, the base is calling for you urgently, specifically for you." I ran to the radio breathless from playing sports and called back, "Solar Panel Khao Lam, Solar Panel Tony receiving. Confirmed, go to Channel 5. This meant turning the frequency to Channel 5, a secured channel where we could discuss personal matters but only for urgent situations, not for casual conversations like on a telephone. "What's the urgent matter, Senior?" I asked. "Tony, steady yourself and listen carefully." With those words, my heart began to race. I knew it must be an extremely urgent or serious matter for headquarters to call me directly. At first, I thought it might be a surprise inspection from a superior unit checking our operations, a regular occurrence. Alternatively, I thought about my family, specifically my mother. Before reporting to this joint checkpoint, I had visited her in Sriracha district where she was gravely ill with colon cancer. The doctor had called me in for a private conversation and told me she had less than 2 months to live. But I had returned to duty less than 2 weeks ago and thought, it can't be that, it's too soon. The doctor said 2 months. But then I felt my face go numb as if everything blurred when I heard headquarters announce, "Listen carefully. Your mother has passed away today at 5 p.m. Stay calm, Tony. Gather yourself." It was about 5:10 p.m., meaning my mother had died just 10 minutes earlier, and my father had immediately called me. I don't recall what happened next. Everything went dark. After a while, I felt my junior officer wiping my face and calling repeatedly, "Brother Tony. Brother Tony, are you all right? What happened? I saw you run to answer the radio. I was cooking and saw you talking, then suddenly you collapsed backward. I called everyone to help. What happened, brother?" My mother died. That's all I remember, then everything went dark. "Compose yourself and change your clothes. I'll drive you on my motorcycle. The lieutenant has prepared a hired vehicle and processed your paperwork. The commander has already approved it." I rode behind my junior colleague, my mind adrift the entire way. From the joint checkpoint, it was about 30 kilometers to our unit. When we arrived, my lieutenant was waiting. He offered words of comfort and handled all the arrangements, including hiring a vehicle to take me to Sriracha district. I sat in the car, numb throughout the journey, tears flowing silently without sobbing. It was a profound sadness, a hollowness, as if my heart might float away. My thoughts raced, especially worrying about my father who had been alone with her. What must his mental state be like? These thoughts circled in my mind until we reached Sriracha district around 9:20 p.m. When I entered the house, my father came to embrace me and wept, saying, "Oh, Tony, she's left us now." I saw his reddened eyes before he broke down completely. My heart shrank to almost nothing. I felt it would break. So I told him, "Don't worry, Dad. Even though Mom is gone, you still have your children. Try to stay strong. Take me to see Mom first." Inside, I saw my mother lying with her head toward the west, her feet facing an incense pot and oil lamp. I lit incense, placed it in the pot, and entered the mosquito net to be near her. I prostrated myself at her feet, then shifted to sit beside her body, which was already stiff and cold, rigid and cold everywhere I touched. My second mother, a woman we respected who had arranged the funerals for my parents, whom I've mentioned in previous episodes, had left instructions not to embalm the body. "Tomorrow I'll come and arrange everything," she had said. This is what my father told me. At that moment I cried silently, choked up and congested with emotion. After sitting with my mother's lifeless form for a while, I emerged from the mosquito net to see my father sitting with tear-stained eyes. I asked him, "Dad, you need to stay strong. Have you contacted the temple for a death certificate yet?" "The village head man has arranged everything with the temple," he replied. "For the death certificate, he'll get it tomorrow since the district office is already closed. Your mother passed in the evening." The village head man has been very helpful arranging everything even when children aren't present, my father continued. "He coordinated and arranged everything." "Is that all?" second mother said. I asked, referring to my mother's friend who was helping with the arrangements. "She said she'll bring a coffin tomorrow and perform a ceremony before taking her to the temple. But we should keep incense burning all night. It mustn't go out or run out. Someone must keep lighting it. That's second mother's belief and tradition." "Have you eaten anything, Dad?" "I bought plenty of food. I'll prepare it for you. Your younger brother who traveled from Fetchabun just arrived too, so I'll call him to eat with us. He brought 2 friends to help with the funeral. But I have to say honestly that I wasn't hungry. I asked my brother to go buy some liquor as I wanted to sit and drink for a while. My father joined me as he wasn't hungry either. That night no one ate dinner. We sat drinking until 2 a.m. before retiring to bed, taking turns to ensure the incense remained lit as second mother had emphasized. The next day we all woke early. Around 8 a.m. second mother arrived with a coffin, the village head man, my mother's friends and neighbors who knew her. Quite a large group coming to help however they could. My mother may have been poor, but she had many friends. No one had gone to invite them, yet they came, showing she was truly loved by the villagers. I watched second mother's ceremony invoking Chinese deities, inviting my mother's body into its new home. She began by pouring loose tea leaves, how many I don't know, into the coffin until it was nearly half full. Then she laid down the soft quilt my mother loved, positioned the pillow and placed my mother's body inside. Mother looked as if she were merely sleeping. Second mother prepared holy water and sprinkled it over my mother's form, then closed the coffin lid. My father, or Dad as I called him, was in the most pitiful state, standing there weeping uncontrollably, unable to function. Though he had always been strong his entire life, I had never once seen him cry. I went to embrace him, saying, "Dad, I'm still here. My brother is still here too. Be strong. Mother isn't suffering anymore. She's at peace now. Let's take her to the temple." I carried the incense pot. My brother carried the candles, and then a monk led the procession, holding a sacred thread that connected to the front of the procession as we carried her to the temple, which was about 200 meters from our house, not far at all. Upon reaching the funeral hall, we placed the coffin on the platform. At that moment, I felt the world around me turning completely dark. I fainted again, startled awake only when second mother pressed a cool cloth to my face and said, "Be strong, child. The second mother is still here. Tell me if you need anything. You need to be the pillar for your father and brother now." "Did I faint again, mother?" I asked. "Birth, aging, sickness, and death are the way of the world," she replied. "These are realities that cannot be avoided. They happen to every living being on earth. I will face this day too, and so will you. Calm your mind and accept this as the natural cycle of life, my child. This evening I'll have cooks prepare food for tonight's guests. Tomorrow I'll arrange for vegetables and ingredients to be delivered by tricycle, and I'll prepare a food list for you. Just follow my instructions so you won't have to struggle. I'll write out the menu for all 6 days." "Thank you, Mother. My brother and I will arrange the flowers to decorate the front of the coffin ourselves, making it beautiful and fresh. We won't hire anyone. It's too expensive and our budget is limited. Even though you're providing money for reserves, we're focusing on keeping costs minimal." Around 4 p.m., the cook's second mother had prepared the food for the first evening's guests, both savory and sweet dishes. My mother had instructed me that she only wanted a 3-day funeral before cremation to avoid unnecessary expenses, but second mother insisted on performing the full 7-day ceremony. "That was your mother's wish, but I will complete the full 7 days for her. Trust me, it will benefit your mother," she said. "Yes, Mother. Thank you so much. Did your mother leave any messages for you?" she asked. "Yes, she mentioned leaving something for Dad with you, second mother." "That's right, I'm keeping it. After the cremation, I'll give it to you. But don't let your brother know. She was very specific about that." "I don't understand why she wouldn't want him to know," I said. "She had her reasons carefully considered." After all the guests had departed, second mother approached me, placing her hand on my shoulder. "Now I'll give you what your mother left," she said, taking out a small box from her bag. "Open it when you're alone." When I opened it later that night, I found several gold bracelets and necklaces, all my mother's possessions, along with a letter. The letter explained that these items were for my father to help support him if he ever faced financial difficulties, but stressed that my younger brother must never know about them. She feared my brother might sell them to fund his gambling habit. She asked me to keep this secret and care for my father as best I could. Days passed, and on the 7th day we prepared for the cremation ceremony. Second mother instructed me to place my mother's coffin on a boat. We sailed about 45 minutes until second mother indicated we should stop in the channel between Sri Chang Island and Kam Yai Island, an area with strong underwater currents. When the time came, second mother told me to place the incense holder first, as it was time to release my mother's coffin. I gently lowered the coffin into the water, focusing my mind and praying for my mother to reach a better realm. To my amazement, once on the water, the current pulled the coffin away with incredible force, the clear water carrying it swiftly away. Second mother spoke. "This channel's current will draw her to a peaceful place. The Chinese deity who possesses me instructed me to follow these steps for your mother, child. She's at peace now. It's only us who must continue the struggle, and I'm prepared to struggle alongside you as long as I have breath." After returning to shore, we went to the temple for the final merit-making ceremony. I fulfilled all the traditional duties expected of a son, honoring my mother's memory while family, friends, and neighbors offered their condolences. Though the grief remained heavy, second mother's guidance provided structure during this difficult time. In the days and months that followed, I threw myself into caring for my father, who seemed to age years in just days. The house felt emptier, yet somehow my mother's presence lingered. In the garden she had tended, in the kitchen where she had prepared countless meals, in the empty chair where she had sat each evening. This was the real-life experience surrounding my mother's passing, a mix of traditional beliefs, family bonds, and the harsh reality of saying goodbye to someone deeply loved. Though the supernatural elements were subtle compared to other stories, the profound emotional experience was its own kind of haunting that has stayed with me all these years. And with that, our 3 tales come to an end. If these stories resonated with you, please leave your comments below. For new members who haven't yet subscribed, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell to receive our new clips before anyone else. We'll meet again in the next video. A chilling touch, Starfall Night. Hey, the professor invited us to see the meteor shower tonight. Are you going? Touch it, will you? The forest will break open. The stars will fall, will you? Hey, the person dead mentioned was a second-year student at a renowned university in northern Thailand. He'd enrolled on an athletic scholarship, his passion for sports running as deep as his veins. A fencing athlete for the university, he joined the International Fencing Club, which included 3rd and 4th year seniors as well as freshmen. 2 professors supervised the club as advisors. Both were former national team fencing athletes. Because of this, the university's fencing club had earned regional and national recognition. Whenever they entered a competition, their opponents would invariably feel chills running down their spines. The club had over 10 members, with graduated seniors occasionally stopping by to offer support. For any athlete, regardless of discipline and practice were paramount. That's why seniors and juniors alike would exercise together every evening. Playing sports and training together had forged intimate bonds among them. Both advisor professors devoted themselves seriously to their students, providing support in every aspect. Every student in the club deeply loved and respected the 2 professors. Today, a meteor shower would occur for the first time in 20 years, where stars would be visible across Thailand's sky. The meteors would fall from 7 p.m. until 4 a.m. the next morning, with the peak occurring between midnight and 2 a.m. Outside those hours, there would be only 10 to 20 visible meteors per hour. Paye agreed to join the club to watch the meteor shower, with the professors' wives accompanying them. The best viewing spot would be on a mountain, away from city lights. That evening, everyone made plans. The professors would bring 2 extended cab pickup trucks that could accommodate all club members. When they counted, there would be 13 people going. Someone in the group said, "Hey, what a coincidence. We're going on Friday, 13 of us. It's Friday the 13th, like the Western Ghost Day." Everyone laughed and said, "You idiot, they mean Friday falling on the 13th day of the month, not 13 people going on a Friday." Professor Wera, the more senior of the 2, said, "This is Thailand. We don't believe in such things." Not long after, Professor Sakta came by to announce he'd bought 3 kilograms of pork, seasonings, and dipping sauce. "Tonight we'll have Korean barbecue at our meteor watching spot," he said, assigning Jokin Makam to prepare the side dishes. Professor Sakta's dipping sauce was legendary, perfectly spicy, sour, and sweet. Meanwhile, Professor Wera prepared telescopes, being an astronomy expert. After preparations were complete, everyone showered and got ready to depart, meeting at the club at 5 p.m. When everyone had assembled, the convoy set off for the mountain, about 60 kilometers from the university. The journey took nearly 2 hours because traffic was heavy that day, likely everyone heading out to watch the meteor shower. The professors took them to a hillside away from any village, seeking a quiet spot without disturbances or light pollution. Upon arrival, everyone unloaded their belongings from the trucks, including sleeping tents. This trip was planned as a picnic and stargazing event, with a return the next morning. The tents were simple pop-up models that opened automatically. After setting up the tents and laying out mats, they prepared the cooking area and lit the charcoal. The grilled meat released a mouth-watering aroma. The dipping sauce was perfectly zesty, and the soup delicious. They ate and chatted happily. When they were nearly full, someone suggested lying down to watch the meteor shower. Being athletes, no one drank alcohol, otherwise the night would have stretched much longer. By then it was past 9 p.m. Meteors were falling sporadically with long intervals between each flash. They lounged, talking and enjoying the occasional meteor until after 10 p.m. Full bellies made heavy eyelids. Listening to Professor Wera's academic discourse about various stars made them even drowsier. Suddenly everyone was jolted by the distant roar of what sounded like a tiger. Soon after came the sound of running feet and various animal noises. It seemed as if the creatures were fleeing from something like a forest break. Everyone sat up silent, listening to the approaching sounds. Soon they saw a pack of animals, unclear whether dogs, forest pigs, or monkeys in the dim light, heading straight for the remains of their barbecue. Seeing this, Professor Sakta grabbed the pistol he'd brought along and fired 2 shots into the air. The animals scattered back into the forest and the roaring sounds fell silent. When everything returned to normal, everyone lay back down to continue watching the meteor shower. Professor Wera encouraged them to observe different stars. It was a moonless night, so the stars shimmered brilliantly. He truly was an expert on celestial objects, sharing knowledge about stars and their histories, interspersed with excited shouts from students spotting meteors. The deeper into night, the more beautiful the meteor shower became. Around 1 a.m., while everyone was engrossed in the meteor shower, Nant felt the urge to urinate. He stood up to relieve himself near some distant bushes when his eyes caught floating lights approaching in groups. Some looked like fireballs, others moved in pairs. Nant rushed back to tell everyone, but before they could even stand up, they heard the forest animals erupting in panic, creating a chaotic din. Professor Wera shouted, "Quick! Pack everything into the trucks. The forest is breaking open, the woodland spirits are coming out." At Professor Wera's words, everyone sprang up as if on springs, frantically gathering their belongings and jumping into the trucks. The professors got into their respective vehicles and accelerated quickly, but the forest path was bumpy, preventing them from reaching full speed. Makam Man and Bue sat in the bed of the rear truck. "Oh God, help us." What appeared before them was really forest spirits. The floating lights were from Kamoth ghosts, a type similar to Krasu or Fong spirits. There were also Fry ghosts and long-necked forest spirits with long legs, emaciated bodies, and distorted faces, screaming and chasing after the trucks. All the students were terrified, shouting for Professor Wera to drive faster as the spirits were gaining on them. Everyone was sweating, pale-faced, their courage shattered. Eventually, they reached the main road and everything suddenly fell silent. Everyone sighed with relief, vowing never to enter the forest at night again. Back at the club, everyone couldn't stop talking about what had happened. Professor Wera asked if anyone had done something to offend the forest spirits, but everyone denied it. Not mentioned he'd needed to urinate, but hadn't even had the chance before everything happened. The story of the club's ghostly encounters spread throughout the university, but the incident wasn't over yet. After returning from the stargazing trip, Professor Sakta fell ill. He refused to eat or drink anything, or rather he tried to eat but would vomit everything back up. His body grew increasingly emaciated. When taken to the hospital, doctors could find no cause for his illness, leaving everyone worried about what disease he might have contracted. Time passed until one day the club sent students to compete in a provincial fencing competition, winning a gold medal. They decided to celebrate at a famous all-you-can-eat pork barbecue restaurant located near the university. Professor Wandi, Pa's faculty advisor, happened to walk by, and Pei invited her to join the celebration. Professor Wandi was quite spiritual. Upon learning they were going for pork barbecue, she replied, "I won't join you. I avoid roadside grilled foods with strong odors, fearing wandering spirits without homes might pass by and join the meal." The club members secretly smiled at Professor Wandi's thinking, but Poi had a sudden realization about her words. On their stargazing trip, they had grilled Korean barbecue, its aroma permeating the forest without sharing any food with the forest spirits. Those spirits must have wanted to partake and subsequently attacked Professor Sakta. Pai shared this theory with Professor Wera and the club members. That evening they decided to return to the forest, this time bringing a large platter of pork barbecue. Upon arrival, Professor Wera performed a ritual, lighting one incense stick and requesting permission to enter from the forest spirits, inviting them to enjoy the barbecue offering. Suddenly, the bright sky darkened. Darkness enveloped the entire forest. Both professors and students hurriedly jumped into their vehicles and drove away, none daring to look back at what was happening behind them. Not long after, Professor Sakta returned to work. During lunch break, everyone saw him eating heartily, his face radiant, completely transformed from his former state.